Welcome, welcome. I'm really looking forward to spending again some quite beautiful minutes as we just dive into a few things that are really dear to my heart and that are probably as well dear to your heart if you are truly interested in living life, I guess, from a very from a space of authenticity, from a space from vulnerability, from strength, from an inner knowingness about who you are, what your directional life is, to have clarity and just loving life as it unfolds before your very eyes. That is what I would love to talk with you about. Now, what I'm going to do today is to guide you through a simple process that I hope allows you to be able in your life to quickly recenter yourself. And recentering, it's just a labeling, I guess, for the moment, for me trying to express to you that more often than not we want to identify how to get back to connecting to ourself. Okay, if I look into my life and if I share with you a few experiences in my life, it has been truly extraordinary, the moments in my life that I've seen myself just getting caught up in the busyness of my mind, if this makes sense. And if you rethink or recap or go back into moments in your life when you have been emotionally compromised, for example, when your thoughts have been playing a cat and mouse game with yourself, where you just felt that even moments that you imagined to unfold, that they actually never unfolded the way that you imagine it to happen. And our thoughts in that regard certainly plays a big role, or the biggest role in life, if this makes sense, for us to just really creating emotional poison within ourselves, first emotionally and then as well physically within our body, that really prevents us to just living life to the fullest. So many people, they are filled or they live life by obligations, for example, about things in their life that they should be doing. So it's really important to have some solid ways, I guess, and we don't call it strategies, let's call it just approaches or ways in your life and in my life that I would love to share with you in a moment, because you can't talk, right? That hopefully enable you and help you to find that equilibrium again in your life. So if you feel yourself getting caught up once again in this busyness, in this forward movement of you believing you have to get certain things done to fill something within yourself that is may not yet quite filled, hint hint, that it is may a good way to actually go about it. And what it really is, before we get into it, I would love to frame it up, and we probably take about 30 more minutes, 40 more minutes to get that across to you, because I feel it's truly important for you to listen to that message. One way, or not my way, but the way I've experienced it in my life, and the way I feel most true about and most direct in terms of creating the results I want from an emotional perspective. I don't speak about right now, getting out there and getting the next Ferrari or the next house. I really speak about the way you emotionally master life. The level of emotional intelligence you have, the way the behavioral flexibility you possess to go into a tense situation and stressful situations in your life. And just being able to stay calm in these moments where everyone stresses out, right? And you may agree that, you know, if somebody is in a life-threatening situation and had a severe accident, that it may be worthwhile staying emotionally in control and on task rather than getting all confused and emotionally caught up in that moment, which really doesn't help anyone. Okay, because we can't think clearly, we can't act intuitively, because this mind just plays a kind of mouse game in that regard in this moment. All right. So, and what we want to understand in that regard is that in these moments when you get emotionally caught up in life, when the mind gets the better of you, when you feel just emotionally compromised, in moments when you feel you haven't been performing the way you deserve or the way you felt you could perform, in terms of the calmness and in terms of the kindness you respond to certain tense situations coming from your family, maybe even. Okay. And how beautiful is it to just, you know, be in peace and just love that person in this moment even more. Okay. And one reason why we all get, including myself, and there are worse and better days and worse and better times. You know, if I go back 3, 4, 5 years ago, you know, I certainly, you know, was not as well off in that particular field that I'm nowadays. And this is just what I'm good at, and I'm crap at a lot of other things. You know, my wife has to, you know, help me out, you know, with daily living, to do the laundry, and to do the washing, and all that stuff. But this is a whole totally different story. But really, you know, if we get caught up in the mind shadow, and you know what I'm talking about, you know, if you don't feel emotionally just balanced, and if you feel there are worries and fears and anxiety coming into your life, that is always, listen very carefully, it is always due to your mind perceiving the world to be what it is not. So you're impressing pretty much your mind, the world construct, the world view upon other people, upon your life. And as soon as our mind and our thoughts tries to comprehend life and tries to impress something upon life, it is doomed to just create pain. Because you see, the mind has evolved, and thoughts have evolved over years since you were small. And it is just a perspective, and it is just your way of perceiving the world. There's no right and wrong. What you perceive to be right is right to you. What I perceive to be right is right to me. Nor it does not need to align with one another. Yet both are right in that specific moment. Okay? So if we get emotionally caught up in moments in our lives, it's due to the way we have been thinking about our life and the way we have been perceiving life itself. And the way to recalibrate, recenter yourself is by letting go of that, by letting go of the need to think through, to intellectualize, to control the outcome, by letting go of the need to work towards goals for the moment. And the goals is an entirely big, massive topic that we have no time right now to get into. But just know this, that the goal itself is an illusion. The goal itself is an illusion. And that is something you may want to ponder upon. I just decided to not go further into it for various of reasons. Yeah, but just know that the present moment as it unfolds right now is really what we want, what we're after. We're after the experience itself. We're not after a future goal. We're not after having the Ferrari or the house. It's the experience we receive or we emotionally experience by having that. And you know all these things. I don't need to get into that further. But it comes back to the moment. It comes back to the journey of the way you live life, the level of consciousness, the level of awareness you apply throughout your day, throughout every moment of it, life, as life unfolds. And when we get caught up in this past contemplation of future shoulds or worries, for example, it is again largely or entirely due to the way we have been perceiving life and the way we have been thinking and contemplating about life. And what we want to do is just to dissociate again from that, to create space in between those thoughts. And the best way, hands down, for myself, is to create silence in your life. And silence doesn't mean for the moment it has to be silent in your home or silent in general in your external environment. Silence means right now, the way I like to describe it, as an internal silence. By dissolving or by casting away that mind shadow that has been distracting you from creating the clarity in your life, but from creating the direction in your life, from creating the authenticity and the strength coming from within in your life, it really it prevented you from going there. And again, we're getting out of the minds by casting that away and by making space again to just experience life in silence. And it is not something that just comes easily to everyone. It may does, it may not. I remember myself when I started to, we may call it now meditation. When I started to meditate, it was an absolute struggle. It really was. I couldn't even sit still for 5 minutes. And nowadays, life truly, to a very large extent, has become one big meditation, which is just extraordinary. And I'm not saying that to tell you how great I am. It has nothing to do with it at all. But it has to do with the awareness that meditation or creating silence within does not need to be a conscious process. It can be integrated into your life. I met with a dear friend of mine yesterday, and we spoke about a quote that I've written that goes something along the line to that that meditation is not a separate act from life. But once you fully embody that, it becomes a beautiful symphony called life. And that truly is the way I would love you to see life to unfold. It suddenly, once you're able to integrate that, it suddenly becomes this beautiful symphony where you just attune to yourself and ask yourself, where are you at? Are you right now in a life, in a state of your life that demands you to create in the physical realm? Or are you in a state of life that demands you to stop, to just stop everything and to be and to present, to simply be aware of the present moment? And it sounds like either or, but really it's an integration. And once you're able to integrate that, this doing and being, this is when mastery happens. I said long time ago that success nowadays to me is, or I recognize mastery, let's maybe say it like this. if I see someone physically, in the physical appearance, somebody to be physically busy, running around in frenzy, doing all sorts of things, having meetings, meeting friends, loving life in all sorts of directions, but yet being mindful and still just within, right? And this is where I see truly mastery unfolds. If you look at a Roger Federer with playing tennis, or a Rafael Nadal, or Andy Murray, I'm not sure if you know those guys, but if you imagine yourself right now watching a tennis match, they're physically very busy on the tennis courts. But mastery happens if they are still in their mind and just intuitively react to moments that they have been trained for so many years and decades. And this takes time, it really does. It does not just happen for everyone like that. It may, but it does not have to. So enough said. What I would love to do right now is to actually guide you through a process that I feel is the most smoothest way to slip into, let's just call it the gap, if you wish, for the moment. And you can only slip into the gap by letting go of the need to control your thoughts, and that is not easy for many people, for most people. So I would love you to guide you through my way of slipping into that, for you really to create space again, to find silence within. You will create peace, bliss, inner stillness that really enables you to walk into a very powerful direction, because you suddenly don't have to be any more superior from an egoistical standpoint. You don't anymore have to be, you do not feel any more inferior either. So you come from an innate power that does not anymore align with inferiority, with you being inferior. Yeah, and the ego mind has been cast away, and so it doesn't anymore create either that feeling of needing to be superior, like so many people out there. And it becomes a beautiful symphony of working with humanity and mankind to just live life, the way you deserve it, to experience life again, to listen to birds singing, to seeing beautiful, beautiful landscapes and clouds soaring through, by touching amazing surfaces and by really getting a sense of what the world is about, by smelling flowers, by tasting beautiful herbs and beautiful foods. So this is what comes back if you embrace what we're going through right now. Alright, so what I would love to do is